Welcome to the Bulletin podcast for the Willy Brandt School of Public Policy at the University of Erfurt. I'm your host, Maria Bracken, and my goal is to interview the fascinating students and researchers at the Brandt School and to hear experiences and voices from all over the world. We have a special show for you today. Joining us are applicants for the 2019 Commitment Award, a yearly prize for fascinating, innovative, and new social projects. The Commitment Award promotes the attitude of challenging the status quo and bringing positive change to the world. Since 2012, the Brandt School and the Engagement Prize Foundation have worked in close cooperation to organize the award. The Engagement Prize Stiftung promotes education, international ethos, tolerance in all cultural matters, and international understanding, as well as civil commitment. In the multicultural and diverse setting of the Brandt School, the Commitment Award seeks to give students the opportunity to apply what they have learned at the Brandt School and to take new social initiatives in Erfurt and around the world. Each year, 3 winning projects are chosen after careful consideration of the applications by a jury of experts. The jury includes members from politics, civil society, and the private sector. The award ceremony will take place this year on Thursday, the 11th of July, at the Thüringer Zentrum für Existenzgründung und Unternehmertum. For more information about the Commitment Award, please visit the Brandt School website at www.brandtschool.de/commitment-award. Our first guest is Vanessa Hernandez, who will tell us a bit more about her project. Welcome to the show, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Maria, for having me.
To begin, I'd like to ask you a bit about yourself. What is your personal background and what brought you here to the Brandt School?
Sure. Well, first of all, I come from Ecuador. I was born and I grew up in Quito, which is the capital city. And I did my bachelor degree in business and international relations. And that is what actually brought me to the Brandt School of Public Policy, because I decided that even if it might sound a little cliche, I wanted to be an agent of change. So what a best way to do it through policies that could actually help us improve people's opportunities and conditions for living.
And what stage are you in at the moment? What year are you in at the Brandt School?
Yeah, well, I am a first-year student right now, and I am doing, for now, 2 specialization tracks, which is international relations, and the other one is non-profit management. And I would actually like to do a third one, but we will see how it goes.
Very ambitious. I like that.
Thank you.
Moving on to your idea for the Commitment Award. Firstly, what is the name of your project?
Sure. Well, the name of the project is Communitarian Fabric Tierra Verde, which is translated to English like Greenland, and is based basically on Esmeraldas, which is province, and as well we have the capital city, which is Esmeraldas as well, and is known for being super it's also called Greenland. So this is why we decided to name the project like this. And actually, the project is basically focused on the majority of people who are actually living there in Esmeraldas, which are Afro-descendants. And it has a lot of issues inside, and what is concerning is that they have a lot of insecurity. And because it's in the border with Colombia, they have high rates of violence and as well as high rates of unemployment, which is very concerning because if you get to see people from 18 to 29 years old, it's even higher, up to 35% of unemployment rate. And it got worse because in 2016 we had an earthquake and it affected a lot of the infrastructure. People, businesses were really affected. And it's been a long way for recovering after this disaster. And so when you also take into consideration the gender aspect of it, single mothers and women in general are being really not identified and not recognized by their communities. And in fact, they show a lot of vulnerability and they want to be recognized and have better chances because they don't even have this recognition to success with their projects and their own economic activities.
So looking at this Greenland border area in between Ecuador and Colombia, What inspired you to investigate this region? Did you read something or speak to someone that prompted development of this project?
Yeah, well, in fact, yes. First of all, because of my parents, I had the opportunity to visit many times Esmeraldas, and I had the chance to talk to people there and see how they have this amazing entrepreneurial motivation and how they want to make their families get better. And also, we have a colleague here at the brand school, and he also had this idea, and he worked with some colleagues there in Esmeraldas, and we decided that we really wanted to improve people's opportunities there, mostly focused on women and single mothers for now.
Moving on to just briefly the specifics, what are your objectives in this project, and sort of where and how will it be implemented?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the main purpose of the project is, in fact, help all these people who have amazing ideas and already have these products that they make. The main objective of the project is actually to formalize their activities, because there are actually 12 already groups that are already producing their own goods for selling. And in fact, they have to fulfill certain sanitary and quality requirements that some institutions in Ecuador ask for them to sell their products. And it's very limited, the capacity that they have to actually fulfill these requirements. So basically, the idea is to help them settle and to help them have this quality and access to these permits that would allow them to sell better their products.
And if you are successful in being funded by the Commitment Award, can you tell me a bit about your first steps and your broader goals, your ambitious goals for the project?
Sure. So, well, first of all, would we contact our team, because we have 5 volunteers right now who are actually living in Esmeraldas, and they will be our key tool to actually start implementing the project. So that would be the first step. It's going to be a little bit challenging because there are a lot of bureaucratic processes that we have to follow before we implement this idea. And after this, the main purpose of it is that actually it's taken as an example and as a pilot project, so that there could also be other social impact projects that can follow the same idea and actually support people who have these incredible entrepreneurial projects already settled, and to help them improve their communities. You know, there is a lot of they have this lack of knowledge about the processes that they have to follow and the permits that they have to have. And if they have this knowledge, they lack of the capacity, as in this case. They need the space, they need the machines, they need the tools to do that. So if we can start doing something very little, like helping them formalize these activities, then that will create, you know, a certain path for other projects to continue.
And my last question to you, which is what I always ask, is what has been the most valuable lesson or the best part from your experience at the brand school so far?
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes we forget that we are not the only ones in this world, fair to say. So what I love the most at studying the Willy Brandt School is that you get to remind that there are a lot of other things beyond that, and that there are other issues, that there are other people who are suffering, and that there are other experiences that people live in their own country. So this intercultural exchange, you get to learn a lot from your colleagues, and you know that you are not the only person there with your issues, but and your experiences and your professional background as well, but you also learn all these other things from other people who get to expand your perspective of things.
Wonderful. Well, that's all the time we have for now. Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Sure, thank you.
It was wonderful to learn more about Greenland and your idea to improve lives through formalizing economic activities.
Thank you so much.
Our next guests are a team of 3. They include Sonia Gonzalez, Nicole Ube, and Ariana Berenachia. They will now tell us about their fantastic project. Welcome to the show, all 3 of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To begin, I'd like to ask you a bit about yourselves. If you can just briefly tell me a little bit about your backgrounds and what brought you here to the Brandt School.
Okay, I'm Nicole, and I'm from the U.S. I studied sociology and criminology during my bachelor's, and I was born in Germany, so I came back here for a master's.
Hi, I'm Ari. I'm also from the United States, and I studied mechanical engineering and worked in the aerospace industry before coming here to do a master's.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I come from Peru. I did my bachelor's in political science. Afterwards, I worked for the government in international cooperation and development policies. The three of us are first-year students at the brand school, and our focus is on public and non-profit management and international affairs.
I will now ask you a bit about your project for the Commitment Award. So firstly, what is it named? What do you call your project?
Our project is called MINTY Girls, and MINT stands for Math, Informatics, Natural Science, and Technology. We were inspired during our social entrepreneurship class to address the lack of women in MINT fields, and then we had found that there was a study pointing to 11 years old as the age German girls dramatically lose interest in MINT, which is earlier than most European countries. This is followed by a drop in confidence in MINT subjects overall, leading to girls not taking advanced math or science classes, which essentially leaves them out of the MINT pool of professionals and skilled workers very early on.
So you were inspired by reading this article when you were doing research for the social entrepreneurship class, is that right?
Yeah, we were looking for ideas, and Sonia mentioned the core idea at the beginning, and I immediately jumped on it because it's something that I experienced also in the United States, the lack of women in STEM, as we call it in English. In university, when I went to school, I was one of 10 girls in my major, so we made up 9% of my graduating class, and that was a problem in college. And following that in industry, there weren't very many women where I worked in the aerospace industry, so we wanted to address that. Other initiatives that are happening in Germany only target girls that are graduating high school, really. Like, that's where most of their efforts go.
So this project would be implemented here in Germany?
Correct.
Yes.
Would it be in Erfurt specifically? Who are the beneficiaries of the project?
At the beginning, yes, we are targeting girls from ages 8 to 11 to complete workshops led by female role models, probably volunteers from the universities in Thuringia, female MINT students. They are the main beneficiaries, and in these workshops, we will try to introduce fundamental MINT concepts through hands-on activities that include basic programming, soldering, design execution, through activities such as building a solar car or coding light-up jewelry that could get their attention. We designed it in this way because we found many different studies that stated how important it is to keep them engaged throughout the year, and also that it is twice likely that a girl will go into MINT if she has a female role model. So that's basically how we got the idea, and our long-term vision for our organization is to create a generation of girls confident in MINT that will eventually boost up German industries and by closing the gender gap in these fields.
So it's an approach using a combination of education and inspiration for young women. Wonderful. And should you be successful in being funded by the Commitment Award, can you tell me a bit about your very first steps, what you would need to do to get started? Mm-hmm. And you've already talked about your more ambitious goals, but if maybe you could elaborate on that a bit as well.
Okay, so if we win the money, we want to do a free pilot program for girls around Erfurt to kind of work out any kinks that we have and to also get a base for the project. So we'd have these girls come in and we'd do a free workshop with them with the MINT volunteers, and then the money would go for covering that and to allow them to all do it for free.
And this would be in partnership with universities in the region?
With partnership with universities to get the female MINT students, and with schools probably to get the girls to come for our workshops.
What challenges do you anticipate in implementing this idea?
Mainly German?
Yeah, I think our biggest problem will be the German language. We're all actively learning, but it's still a problem. Also, trying to figure out which business forms is best for us and different legal regulations like that. But luckily, we have a lot of German speakers close to us who have been helping us throughout the process.
moving back to yourselves, what's next for you? I mean, you're all first-year students. Do you have internships coming up? Are you starting to think about your thesis topics?
Going into second year, hopefully we will be able to set this up.
In September, I'll be doing an internship in Garmisch-Partenkirchen with a security studies organization.
Sounds very exciting.
I'm still looking for an internship, but probably just gonna also like work on my German as much as possible during the break because I really need to step it up there.
Well, that's a very admirable ambition to learn more of the language. And to wrap things up, I'm going to ask the question I ask everyone, which is, what has been the best part, or perhaps the most valuable lesson, that you've learned from your experience at the Brandt School so far?
I think it's been working with people from different backgrounds, the international community, and just seeing how other people work, their point of view, their backgrounds, where they come from, and just hearing their ideas has been something I've never had the opportunity to do before.
For me, it's working with them. No, I mean, it's the best that came from the Brandt School, meeting people that are actually passionate about the same things as I am. And like, we're starting an organization with it, so we're just taking our ideas to the practice. So I think it's just an unbelievable experience.
For me, it's being able to work with people from different backgrounds. Like Ari is engineering, I'm criminology, Sonia's political science and development. So I don't think there's anywhere else that you could really work with this many different people.
Well, that's all the time we have for now. Sonia, Nicole, and Ariana, thank you so much for coming on the show to tell us about your project, Minty Girls, using education and inspiration to help young women into those fields. It was wonderful to learn more about it, and thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next guests are John Kamoga and Gitonga Wamere, who are here to tell us about their project. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
To begin, I'd like to ask you a bit about yourselves. What are your backgrounds and what brought you here to the Brandt School?
So, John, as they have introduced me, so I come from Uganda, and I studied philosophy and social work, but I have quite a wide experience in microfinance, and I was attracted to the Willy Brandt School of Public Policy because of its outstanding academic profile, and that's how I ended up here. I'm enjoying my time here.
That's good. Very good to hear.
Yeah, I'm Gitongo. Before I came here, my undergrad degree is on political science and public administration. Well, in Kenya, I used to work in a parliamentary monitoring organization. So we used to monitor the work of parliament and ensure that there is transparency in what parliament is doing. So I'm more interested in ensuring that there is participation and transparency in decision-making process of public institutions. So I have an interest in public affairs.
And you're both first-year students, is that right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. What are your academic interests? Do you have specialization areas chosen already?
My specialization areas are non-profit management and international political economy.
I specialize in non-profit management and public management and international political economy.
Moving on to your idea for the Commitment Award. Firstly, what is the name of your project? What do you call it?
The project is called Nature Trending.
Nature Training.
Yeah, Nature Trending. Yeah.
And what inspired you to create this project? How did you get interested in the topic?
Well, there is a big problem in Uganda, especially the area where I come from, the central part of Uganda. So there is too much deforestation. Many trees have been cut down because of the high demand for fuel, charcoal, firewood. So people cut down trees, and this has led to devastating effects to the agriculture sector. People are earning less now, and we are trying to come up with something that is going to address this challenge we are facing today. Of course, there are also many other challenges like unemployment, poverty, and many. but we are trying to answer quite a number of challenges in one innovative idea that we have called nature trending. So it's all about planting a special tree species called mutuba tree in my local language. And this mutuba tree has a long historical background. But most significant of all is the production of the bark growth, that is produced out of the bark. So the bark of this tree is cut off, trimmed off, and then it's processed in a traditional way. And after a long and tedious process of production, we get a fine piece of growth, beautiful and quite sustainable. So our plan is to plant more of this special tree and try to market the products out of this piece of growth. We have quite a number of them. I should have brought some samples, but I have a few samples with me from this piece of growth. Handbags, hats, there are quite a number. Not to mention the other advantages like the ecosystem, addressing climate change, addressing air pollution, because we want to create a substitute for the degrading plastic bags and all that through an innovative and quite sustainable product. And once we do that, we plant the trees, we create employment for the unemployed. So we are naturally in craftsmanship, and at the same time we are addressing the world's most pressing challenges.
So it's this combination of the environmental to tackle deforestation and also economic for the people living in that area.
Exactly.
So it's all of the things in one.
Exactly. Just
Wonderful.
one tree answering all those.
One tree answering all of those questions.
Yeah.
And what are your main objectives in this project?
So as I've already said, we want to address climate change, deforestation, by accentuating the importance and value of this product. When people know and appreciate its value, of course they will not cut it down, but today they do because they don't know the value. Of course, many people are talking about it, but there is no clear plan of protecting this natural treasure. So unemployment, poverty, social inclusion, because we want to include the disabled people also, who oftentimes go unemployed, yet they have time. And we also want to nurture innovation and craftsmanship among Uganda's young people, who are 70% of the entire population. So basically, in a nutshell.
Sounds very exciting and ambitious. What challenges do you anticipate in implementing this project?
Yeah, there will be challenges in implementing this project, but they're not very many. One of the challenge is it entails planting of trees, and we all know that a tree takes time to mature, and this particular tree will may also compete with other things that people are doing, like people are busy in terms of taking care of other things, trying to make end meets, because the particular place that you are targeting is a place whereby majority are poor people. But fortunately, after planting the tree, it does not require too much attention from the people, so it can be accommodated within their daily duties. The other thing is the issue of deforestation, because this tree in a lifetime it can produce the bark cloth like more than 50 times. So the issue of the tree might be cut down maybe before it produces the 50 times, but again, because maybe after the first harvest the people will see the many benefits of the tree, and that might make them not cut it maybe in future. Again, the tree has other advantages, like many people in the particular village that you are targeting usually use firewood as a form of fuel. So the tree has so many it produces so many dead stems, so they can use those dead stems to for fuel instead of cutting down the tree. So it will be producing dead stems over time. The other challenge is in terms of processing the back cloth, it is a lot of work. But again, the best thing is the more time you invest in processing the back cloth, the finer, the better cloth you will produce. And if the cloth is fine and good, the more the value. So the work you invest in the back cloth does not go unpaid for. So the more work you put on it, the more return on investment you get from it. Yeah.
And should you be successful in receiving funding from the Commitment Award, what would your first step be? What would you need to do first?
First, we want to focus on planting the tree in massive numbers because of its evident benefits. So that will be our first activity once we win this award. And also we intend to buy the products, the already existing products, and start processing a few products for sale that people can already see that we already have this tree among us. Why not promote it? Why not use these products? So we shall also buy a few sewing machines to help in design and crafting the products of the back cloth.
And my very last question, which I ask everyone,
Okay.
is thinking about your time at the Brant School so far. You're both first-year students. What has been your most valuable lesson you've learned, or the best part of your experience so far?
So Willy Brandt is quite a diverse community, and I've already said that I come from Africa, and in Africa it takes a village to raise a child. So in Uganda is a very diverse country, many cultures. When I came to Willy Brandt, it's more the same. Like, we are diverse, and it looks like a village to me, and I'm ready to be brought up yet again.
I also think one of the best things in the Willy Brandt is diversity, and that's an investment on its own, because from when you interact with people from diverse backgrounds, you learn how people from different areas think, their experiences in life, and that's a good thing. You get it from Willy Brandt. The other valuable thing is I've learned that being in a graduate school is not just about being in the library and reading and such. It's also about networking, creating networks, because that's also another investment. And I think in Willy Brandt, that gives you that opportunity to network. Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment.
Yeah.
John and Gutongo, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It was wonderful to learn more about nature training and your fantastic idea to plant
Thank you.
motuba trees. Our next guests are Anthony Dobedu and Ni Otto Dodo.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, both of you.
Okay, thank you.
To begin, I'd like to ask you just a little bit about yourselves. What is your personal background, and what brought you here to the Willy Brandt School?
Okay. My name is Ni Otto Dodo, just like you have rightly pronounced.
Excellent.
Yeah. I come from Ghana, and before I came here, I was working with Street Children Empowerment Foundation as a social service personnel. And after that, I moved on. After my studies, I worked with a professor in the Premier University, which is University of Ghana, for some months, and as a research and teaching assistant. And yet, currently, I am here at the Brown School as a first-year student, specializing in international affairs and profit and non-profit management. Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Anthony Dogbedo. I have a background in social work, business administration, and health. Prior to my coming to the Brown School, I've worked with the United Nations Population Fund for 5 years as a program management assistant. And prior to that, I managed USAID projects in Ghana, and I've also worked with the government in the past as a social development officer. Currently, I'm in the Brand School studying public policy, specializing in non-profit management and international affairs as well.
So you're both first-year students.
Yes.
So you have another year coming up. And you've applied for the Commitment Award. So I would like to ask you firstly, what is the name of your project?
Okay, so the name of the project is the Reading Hub. We decided to do it the Reading Hub because we researched and we got to know that the difference between the development of Africa is education. And there was this man who made us know that education is the powerful weapon that can be used to change the world. So we decided to come up with this Reading Hub to help children in a less privileged community in Ghana.
You mentioned just briefly then that you had read about this topic. Can you talk a bit more about that inspiration? So you read about someone who talked about this gap between Africa and other parts of the world in terms of educational attainment. Who wrote about that?
Okay, so the person I was I was trying to quote Nelson Mandela, because he made us understand that education is the powerful weapon that can be used to change the world. So we also decided to come up with this project to help students and or people who are not able to go to school, or people who are not finding it very difficult to complete school, to help them so that they could also become people like big people, just like Nelson Mandela himself, and future leaders as well, to help our country go on.
And you chose Ghana. Is it because of your familiarity with Ghana, or were there other reasons that you considered?
Yeah, we chose Ghana, I think, because we are familiar with the terrain, and practically because we've worked in the area before, myself as a former social development officer with the Ministry of Gender in Ghana. I've worked also in Central Region, where the project is going to be located, when I was working with the USAID, and I coordinated projects in the communities that this project is going to be located. The projects I worked on in the past gave an inspiration also to come up with this project, because those days we go out to the communities and a lot of children come around, but they cannot understand what we are doing, partly because they could not read and they could not understand English. So even if you give them scripts, they cannot read it, they cannot understand. So it's one of the reasons why we want to reach out to them, teach them basic reading skills, basic numerical skills, so that at least they could read simple things and then move on to reading complex materials. Yeah. So
what are the main objectives of the Reading Hub?
So the main objective of our Reading Hub is to provide after-school child-friendly assistance and second learning opportunity for students in the Central Region. Our project will be taking place precisely at the Bunugram or the Liberian refugee camp, in the Central Region.
Yeah, the refugee camp has a population of about 50,000 people, and out of which close to about 6,000, 7,000 are children. And these are refugees from other countries, from Libya, from Sierra Leone, Cameroon, from Senegal, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire. So these are not Ghanaians, actually. So you'd be wondering why we are reaching out to people who are not Ghanaians, but these are people in our communities. They've integrated into the community, and we want to reach out to them. And your beneficiaries are children? Yes. Is there an age range that you're targeting? Yes, we are looking at young people between the ages of 5, 6, all the way up to 20, 25, once they are in school. So you applied for the Commitment Award? Yeah. And should you be successful in receiving your funding, what will your very first steps be to implement this? Well, the very first step would be to procure the logistics for the project. I mean, the project background work is already been done back home. As you know, some of these things don't just start. So we've done background works, we've done community entries, we have located the venues for the various classes that are going to be held. We've spoken to the schools that are going to be part of this project, the teachers that are going to be part of it. So all this has been done. What we need to do now is to buy the logistics, which requires a lot of capital. So this commitment award, hopefully when we win, is going to contribute so much to procurement of logistics for the project.
And what is next for the two of you as students?
Okay, so as a student, currently I'm looking at doing my internship with German Development Institute at Bonn. Yeah, so probably this summer I will be there for 3 months to do my internship.
We're doing my internship from 25th of August, and I'll be doing it with Untitled Netzwerk. It's in Jena. It's a civil society organization in Thuringen with a lot of membership and focusing on development and cooperation and other SDG goals and targets. Yeah.
Very last question for the two of you. What has been your most valuable lesson from being in the Brandt School so far? What have you learned from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, Brown School, just like we all know, it has a lot of international students, people from all over the world, and I think it has given me the platform for me to learn from other people as well, and to look at what others are doing in a country that is not in our country, and also to learn from them and take it back home with me, and to also impact lives, and also to help people who are also not exposed to this knowledge that I'm acquiring here. Yeah, so I think it has been good for me so far, and I've learned a lot, and I am still learning, and I hope before I leave here I would have gotten all the requisites or all the knowledge that I need to be a change agent in my community. Yeah.
Well, for me, I think it's been great. The Brandt School has a lot of diversity. I've come into a lot of cultures, but also the faculty is great. I mean, a lot of current materials that hitherto I wouldn't have read are coming my way. I mean, people like yourself are very supportive, and I think we are poised for the future going back home after school. Yeah.
Well, that's just great to hear. That's all the time we have for this segment, unfortunately. Yeah. But Anthony and Ni Otto Dodo, thank you so much for joining us in the show. It was wonderful to learn more about the Reading Hub and your ambitious goal to help to close that educational gap in Africa. Yeah. Our next guests are Fatma Montasser and Nada Ibrahim. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting us today.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. It's always fun to hear about all the different projects. To begin, I'd like to ask you to tell me a bit about yourselves. So what are your backgrounds, just briefly, and what brought you to study at the Brandt School?
Okay. I'm Nada Ibrahim. I'm first year Willy Brandt School student, and I come from Egypt. I think that's it.
Okay, I'm Fatma Montasser. I'm from Egypt as well. I'm doing my second year in Willy Brandt School. And now I'm launching my startup in Egypt. It's on education services on the public sector as well. We are providing education stuff. So that's it.
So you've already said Nada, you're a first year student, and Fatma, you're a second year student.
Exactly.
And you've applied for the Commitment Award.
Yep. Yes.
So firstly, can you just tell me what is the name of your project?
It's called Harfa. Harfa is an Arabic word for the craft, the learned craft. It's the exact translation in Arabic.
And what inspired you to come up with this project idea?
Okay, we in Egypt, we have so many street children, and they need to know any harfa. Exactly like what Nada said, they need a skill to learn, to be able to have a sustainable income. Some of them are just begging in the streets, and we believe they're humans and they need to have a dignity. We have a free education system in Egypt, so they go to schools already, but still they don't have any source of income. So that's why we started to think that we need to educate them something that they can gain money from on parallel to their studies in schools. So that's why we have started to think about this project, which is targeting like kids or children from 10 to 18 years old, who are already working now on the streets, but they're just begging and not giving anything to the community, so they cannot protect their dignity.
So it's sort of a vocational training for children who don't have access to these skills.
Exactly. It's actually divided into 3 parallel sectors to each other, like vocational training and ethics, because some of them, they like in schools they don't have a class for ethics, so some of them they're just sleeping in the streets and these stuff, and they forget so many of their like very normal and basic human being like ethics, I'd say. And entrepreneurship, because when they finish their studies, if it's like for a 6-month course, let's say, on vocational training, they need to know how they're going to implement it and how they're going to make budgeting for this work, and like they need some assistance. So that's why we have divided it into the main 3 sectors.
And how did you learn about this topic? Did you read something or see something that prompted you to develop this?
Actually, for myself, when you live in Egypt, you live with these people. You see them in the streets all the time, and you see that their main source of income is the begging. And just to see that they're victims of harassment in the street, people just ignore them all the time or mistreat them, you start to realize that this is a crucial problem in the whole society, not just in your street or the street next to you. For me, I've already done some teaching in my university for the elders who didn't have a proper education, and I've also delivered life skill sessions for minors, for especially refugees in an NGO in Egypt called Catholic Relief Services, and this is what inspired me to continue working in something related to giving sessions to children in particular.
So you have experience in this area?
I would say a little bit.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. And from my side, I worked with the street children. I had conducted a project in Egypt on a voluntary basis because I did not have enough money. So some people, I got 5 kids, and I got some volunteers to teach them to make accessories, and now they are selling it until now, and it's been 3 or 4 years or something. Yeah, and I'm really happy. I forgot to bring the bracelet. A girl made it to me, and now she's selling it, and that's really amazing. Whenever they need assistance, they find us, and they know now they feel I'm giving you something. That's why I take this money. It's not just I'm begging. So I really like that. Now they know how to find their way in the society.
That's true. And should you be successful in getting the funding from the Commitment Award, what will your first steps be towards implementing the project?
Okay, yeah. First, we will face our challenges, which is convincing the families, telling them that they are not going to beg today and they're going to go to a vocational training. It's not a very big idea, a very good idea for many families. So we need to convince them first. So the first thing that we will provide them with some money, because it will be a working time for them.
Like a compensation for the time they spend in the training.
So we are going to go to the families right away and tell them about the idea, and tell them that we will work on their children to make sure that they will have a sustainable income later on. And on this period, we will be providing them with a good amount of money, not the best of course, but a good amount of money. And then we will start finding a place and making sure that all of the kids are registered in schools, because we don't want them to leave their schools just to come to our trainings, because it's something on parallel. If they have dreams, they should keep going on, but we just need to protect their dignity from the street. So I think the first step is to convince the families, and then find the place, and then take the children and provide them make the deal. You will come here every week once and make the schedules with the volunteers or the people who would work.
And of course, travel to Egypt to stay.
That would help, yes.
That's something.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So what is next for both of you in your studies personally?
For me, as a first-year student, I'm looking for an internship at the moment. I still haven't received any offer, but I'm still in the process, and I believe that's the major step for me, the upcoming step for me.
I'll be writing my thesis next semester hopefully. And that's it. And then I'll go back to Egypt.
And what has been the best part so far from your experience at the Brent School? What have you learned?
I'd say so many things, of course, but let me say that it's amazing how you find different cultures and different people from every part of the world in our program. And putting it with what we study is such an amazing thing. Like, you have different people from every part of the world, and you discuss every day everything. So you feel like it's like an eye-opening thing, I'd say. And the professors are very like practical, I'd say, which makes you like you feel you want to do something. Like, I don't want to just read and sit in my room. No, I really want to implement something. So that's like the best part so far. And I'm sure during the thesis I'll find out more.
For me, just like Fatma said, the international aspect or the international part of the whole master's program is very interesting, very eye-opening. You get to experience and see other mentalities, and that's a very interesting thing to learn, as well as the learning about the German education system, which is completely different from the Egyptian one. And it took me some time to actually understand a lot. Until now, I'm still struggling with learning what's a good grade and what's a not very good grade. So
yeah, she used to get really sad when she gets one.
That's not much at all, is it?
Not at all.
It took me some time.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment, unfortunately. But thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Fatma
much.
and Nada for being on the show today. It was wonderful to learn more about Herfa and your wonderful idea to teach the street children in Egypt vocational skills. Okay. Our next guest is Tamara Puerto, who will tell us a little bit about her project. Welcome to the show, Tamara.
Thanks for having me. Hello.
Firstly, can you tell me just a bit about yourself, what your background is, and what brought you to study at the Brent School?
Okay, so I am a second-year student at the Willy Brandt School. I am a lawyer from Colombia. I am specialized in human rights and international law. I had some work experience in Colombia working with women issues in sexual and reproductive rights, and I wanted to get further education on how to make policies on these topics.
So you're writing your thesis at the moment, is that right? You're
Yeah, at the moment I am writing my thesis.
Wonderful.
That's right.
And you've applied for the Commitment Award?
Yes.
Firstly, can you tell me what is the name of your project idea?
The name of my project is EduSex.
EduSex. What are you aiming to accomplish with this project?
Okay, so Colombia is a country with very high levels of gender inequality, with a lot of issues like sexual and gender violence, in which the main victims are usually children. Also, we have a lot of related projects like bullying and harassment at school level, and there are a lot of related topics. There are also a lack of diversity and education. This problem has already been identified, this lack of education. For many years in Colombia, there was no sexual education mandatory for students. And the problem of violence, of gender inequality was always solved like at, let's say, a legal level, but not from education. So the idea is to address this issue at the beginning, which is when kids are educated, by providing educational modules and workshops at schools and universities related to different topics like gender equality, sexual and reproductive rights, prevention of violence, and all these topics.
So it's a preventative approach to the gender violence through education, through children's education. Is that right?
Yeah, basically, also at a school level, also at university level, the idea is to work on this issue which let's say, it has been kind of forgotten by the state. There are some recent laws trying to address this issue, but in Colombia we have a problem of lack of implementation. The laws are very recent, and there is a huge gap between what the law says and what it should be done. There is the space for creating projects. It has become a new law that schools have to address these topics. Nevertheless, these laws are have a very low implementation level, and there is a lack of capacity sometimes from the schools, from the universities, from the teachers. They don't have the preparation to do it. So the idea is to implement a project that will kind of work with different stakeholders to make these educational modules and workshops.
Now, you mentioned your work experience
Yes.
with women. Was that the inspiration for this project?
Exactly. Being a lawyer and working directly, let's say, at the end of the problem, because when you are a lawyer, you are working, let's say, at the other end when the problems have already happened. It's very fulfilling, but it also makes you aware that there are many problems that need to be solved from a prevention basis. So rather than working on solutions when the problem is already there, and the problem is really high in Latin America, and particularly in Colombia, the idea of this project is to prevent it and work on a cultural change from the educational system.
And more specifically, how will you implement your program?
Okay, so the project is thought to be developed in several stages. Initially, there will be a background research about how is the state, let's say, state of the art of sexual education in Colombia. What are the needs that we want to address? What would be the topics we will specifically try to work with? And then it will be kind of a stakeholder identification phase when we have to contact the people from the different ministries, from the schools, and make like a networking phase. Then it will come the design. The idea is I am part of a foundation with other people who are experts on this topic. The idea is to have an interdisciplinary panel to create, design, and evaluate these workshops, these modules. Once they are created, we have to contact and, let's say, select the centers and institutions which we will work with. And then the implementation phase will be the actual workshops, the actual modules when we work with the kids, with the teachers also, because the idea is that the teachers get also trained to do it by themselves. On the final stage of the project, we want to make a conference to kind of raise awareness of this issue at university level, and invite different stakeholders like policy makers, professors, activists. And at the end, we will want to present kind of a digital tool about how the project was carried about, what the results, how to replicate it. The idea is that it could become a tool for other schools that want to implement this type of project.
And just lastly, before we wrap up,
Okay.
what have you taken away or learned from your experience at the Brand School?
Well, basically, I think is how to you come to the Brand School with a lot of ideas, a goal. I think the best experience is how to really implement it, how to actually organize a project, how to think about all what you need to do to actually accomplish it. Let's say put into practice all your ideas and really good goals that we all bring from our different needs and countries, and make them reality.
That's all the time we have for this
Okay.
segment, unfortunately. But Tamara, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us
very
on the
much,
show.
Maria.
It was wonderful to learn more about EduSex and this idea of preventing sexual violence by education. Our next guests are Srikanth Muku and Julian Dagan, who are here to tell us a bit about their project. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to ask about your backgrounds. Just briefly, what brought you to the Brent School and what did you do previously?
Yeah, I came from India. So before coming to Brand School, I was working in IBM. Before that, I did my master's in business administration. So I was in business and corporate world, but I was not really satisfied with the way it was going. So I thought I should do something more which is contribute to the policy and the society governance. So that's where I found brand school is more interdisciplinary and which actually fits my the objectives and the goals what I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm actually studying at the university, not at the Willy Brandt School, but I have many friends at the Willy Brandt School, like Shrikant. And so he told me about this award and asked me about advices, and I said, we can actually do it together. It's a nice idea. And so I also have friends, or together with friends, I founded a registered society here in Germany, and we thought that's a legal frame to integrate a project which funds things in India.
So you've applied for the funding for the Commitment Award.
Yeah.
Can you tell me firstly, what is the name of your project idea?
Nama Digital Seva, which means our digital service, and it's in the Indian language Kannada, which I speak a little bit because I spent a year in India, and which Shrikant speaks a little better.
And why is it in that particular language?
Yeah.
Because this village where we want to establish this digital kiosk, which we call Nama Digital Seva, is actually in that state, particular state where this language is primary language.
So can you explain more about the digital kiosk you called it?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So digital kiosk is a concept where we want to bring the people who are not into the digital connectivity, or who don't have digital connectivity and the digital adoption on that curve, they are not there. So we want to bring them to the digital platform so that they can avail government services and other services without going to the government offices and then running around for smaller, day-to-day activities where government provides the services. So this kiosk will have a smartphone and a laptop, and these are connected to internet, obviously, so they can provide these services to the people who don't have literacy or who are not onto the digital platforms at all, so that they can avail these services. That's the idea behind this.
What inspired you to create this project?
Yeah, so I come from a technology industry. So there we see huge technology adoption in India, but there's a huge population which is outside this technology adoption. So we saw this particular state where we want to set up this digital kiosk. That state is known for digital adoption, but this place where we want to put this, the village where we want to put up this kiosk, is actually very backward. And the population is really marginal. They don't have means to get the digital connectivity. So we thought, this is the great idea to bring them onto this. Though India is considered to be one of the front runner in technology, we don't have, means to bring this population. So this is the best way to connect them to the digital world. So that's the idea.
What are your main objectives? Essentially connectivity, but what sorts of services might people be able to access that they wouldn't otherwise be able to?
Yeah. So if you see the government services, how they are delivered in India, generally it was always the physical way. You have to go to the government office and interact with the bureaucrats and the clerks, and then they generally give all the services like insurance or property taxes you pay, or you want to apply for any of the government services. So these all are now digitized. So, but they are only available for people who have digital connectivity and who has digital literacy. So who has access basically. But that now, we can bring this access to the guys who don't have it. So that's the whole idea behind this. And there is a huge young population in India, which actually is aspirational population, we call it. And they want to get into the universities, they want to get into the job market. And they don't see the way actually to get there because they don't have access to digital world, so that they can apply online to the universities, because everything is online today, but they are left out. So this actually we can bring them onto this platform so that they can look for the opportunities what are available there.
So your beneficiaries are people who live in this particular area, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a very rural area, so the access to internet or whatever is it's not very good. So and most of the people have smartphones, but they are also not aware about what they can do with it. Like they use WhatsApp and they might use Google, but or YouTube, but they are not aware that they can actually apply for government help or apply for universities like seats so it's also creating an awareness about what access you can actually gain through internet and
And how does this project connect, Julian, to your existing organization?
After school, I went to make a social service in India with an organization called Samuha, which is working in the area where we are trying to build up this project here. And they are doing some social work with in very various fields. And so when I came back here, we built it up like a charity or registered society to actually fund projects of them in India, like to collect funds here and send it to India. And then when he told me about that he has this project idea, I thought it's the easiest way to use existing structures, legal structures, instead of like building up all the legal forms, and then also go to somewhere in India and talk to them and say like, here's a project and he wants to set it up. Let's do it together. So we think it's like, somewhere in India is existing since like 30 years in this area, and they are working on community-based, the idea of community-based development. And if you have those ideas, it takes ages to actually get into the villages, get to the people that build up the trust. And because Samoa already has that trust, it makes access to get to the people in the villages much easier, and then they also are willing to trust. And then the whole thing can be built up much more sustainable because people know Samoa, and then if we come with a project of Samoa, they are more willing to join the project. And
it sounds like you are preventing a lot of the challenges that you might otherwise have.
Exactly.
It's a very sensible collaboration to have a local partner, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. And just briefly, if you are successful in getting the funding from the Commitment Award, what would your very first step be to implement this project?
Very first step would be to actually identify a resource person who can actually facilitate this. So that would be the first step what we want to take. And the second is to pool the resources to actually buy equipment and establish this this kiosk. So renting of space and getting electricity connection and then internet connection, and then buying smartphone and the laptop, so that it's the necessary thing to actually start and running. So that's the first thing what we would like to do.
And just briefly, very last question, and this is for Srikanth only, unfortunately, although Julian very welcome to chime in. What has been the most valuable lesson you've learned from your experience so far at the Brent School? You're a second-year student, so you are approaching the end of your time at the Brent School, and what's your takeaway?
Yeah, one thing I could say is the diversity which it offered. So the kind of backgrounds what I worked with and the people from geographic locations people come from. So it's actually very, very enriching. So both faculty and the students, both ways, I really enjoyed it, and it's contributed to, I think, my both professional and personal academic life in effort.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. But Srikanth and Julian, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Maria.
It was wonderful to learn more about Numero Digital Sava and your idea to establish a digital kiosk to allow rural populations to access crucial government services in India. My next guest is Eric Mushimiyamana, who will tell us a bit about his Commitment Award project. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you so much.
Firstly, can you tell me a bit about your personal background and what brought you to the Brent School?
That's a good question. You already said my name is Eric Mushimiyamana, and I come from Rwanda. I did development studies for my bachelor studies, and after that I was working for an NGO as a field facilitator to train local communities, plan and implement social impact projects, and that pushed me to pursue my further studies to dig into public policy making, so that maybe in the future I have a broader understanding on how to help community members.
And you're a second year student?
I'm a
right?
second year student, you're right.
So you've applied for the Commitment Award.
Yep.
And firstly, before we talk about the specifics, what is the name of your project?
My project is called Clean Fuel for Life.
Clean Fuel for Life.
Yep.
And what inspired you to create this project idea?
Yeah, well, I know this community, Gitovu sector, where I would like to implement the project. 100% of the people down there use firewood for cooking. And this is creating a lot of consequences in the area, especially losing the forest cover. And also many children are often absent from school because they have to walk long distances to collect the firewood. And also this cooking fuel is not clean, and it leads to household air pollution, which is associated with so many diseases, respiratory diseases. And plus, this kind of fuel is so time demanding, which affect women. Cooking with the firewood or collecting the firewood, it takes a lot of time and prevent women from engaging themselves into other activities or income-generating activities, which then affect their gender empowerment.
And what is the solution that you are suggesting?
Thank you so much. Yeah, we would like to work with a local association which is already there, so that we can help them open up a shop that supplies cooking gas to the local resident.
So you'll be supplying cooking gas so that people do not need to use firewood.
Exactly.
For their cooking.
Exactly.
And how did you get interested in the specific region? What's the name of the region?
Yeah, it's Gitovu sector.
Mm-hmm.
That's the region. And when I was working with my former NGOs, I worked with in this region on a water project, giving water to the local residents. And then I realized that there are still more problems to address. So there is this association which is already there, and I already talked with them because I was in Rwanda 2 months ago. And so I introduced them about the project. We discussed about the issue, and with the local leaders, they are willing to work together so we can kick off this project.
And your beneficiaries will be the people who live in that area.
I mean, it's not only the people who live in this area. Yes, those are the main beneficiaries, but again, other people from the neighboring regions will be coming to buy the cooking gas and stoves, and the government as well will benefit if we are addressing the issue of deforestation or air pollution from using the cook fuel. So this is a project that has praise impact to the wider society, but as you said, primarily the people based in there.
Well, it sounds like there are lots of different benefits from this besides the direct of deforestation. There's also for gender equality, and there's also for health and these other sorts of impacts. Education, yes.
Yeah.
No, that sounds like a clever solution to something that's actually complex.
Yeah, actually, if you look at clean cooking fuel, it's one of the SDGs, the 7th of the SDGs, to supply affordable clean energy. So it's not about electricity; it's also about clean cooking fuel. So clean cooking fuel is related to many other SDGs, like the first SDGs, fighting poverty and hunger, well-being and health, improving education, gender empowerment, protecting life on the land, protecting our climate. So it's linked to many other SDGs if it's fully implemented.
And if you're successful in receiving funding from the Commitment Award, what would your very first steps be towards implementing this project?
Thank you so much. Like I said, I was already in Rwanda 2 months ago. I already discussed with the local people about this project and the local officials. And so my plan is that after I graduate, I will go back to Rwanda. That's my plan. And we start planning and see how we can move ahead with the project.
And my very last question, reflecting on your time at the Brant School, what has been your most valuable lesson that you've learned?
Well, one is, I think I've learned a lot of things, but if I would say like meeting people from various backgrounds, from various countries, and learn about them, learn about their cultures, and also learn about what's happening around the world. And that has been very useful to me, even for my future career, because I have a lot of knowledge about what's going on around the world and from the people who were with me during this program.
Great. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. But thank you so much, Eric, for joining me on the show. It was wonderful to learn more about your project Clean Fuel for Life, where you are going to open a shop to supply cooking oil and stoves to prevent the use of firewood. My next guest is Jean de Dieu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
To begin, I'd like to ask you a bit just about yourself and your personal background. Okay. What is your background and what brought you to the Brant School in the first place?
Yeah, okay. I'm Jean de Dieu and I'm Congolese. I've been doing economics back home in Congo, and I majored also in finance for 2 years. And before, in the same way, I founded my own organization, which is called Youth Forward Congo, which aims to promote entrepreneurship and as a way to address unemployment. And in between, I used an important role in the society of my country as being the student president of my university. So currently, I'm enrolled in Willie Brown School of Public Policy as a first-year student, and I'm having as main specialization international political economy and international affairs, development, and cooperation.
So you've talked about yourself, and now I would like to ask you about your project idea. So you've applied for the Commitment Award, and first things first, what is the name of your project idea?
Great. The name of my project is Vijena mobile application.
Vijena?
Exactly.
And can you tell me a bit about what Vijena means and what inspired you to create the project?
Exactly. Vijena in Swahili means youth. Swahili is my mother tongue language. And being born and raised in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, I saw how rural farmers was able to produce huge quantities of commodities but were unable to reach the markets. The effort that have been reached by NGOs to create agricultural cooperatives seems ineffective in the long run because it didn't have any effective policy to reach the urban markets. So Vijena mobile application aims to connect rural farmers with cities households. Households have the money, and that can be the good way. And as the trend is now moving for technological improvement, technological rise, I thought of bringing a solution that can help make this connection through technology. So the mobile application will be helping households to book online what they want and have fresh food online. And our team, along with Youth Forward Congo, my organization, will be delivering food after the command. We'll make sure we put in place stores in the town and make sure we gather those real farmers into cooperatives that we manage. And then that will be making the transaction more easier, as most of them are not good in using technology.
So the idea is, if I understand, to connect the rural farmers to a market, which are these urban households, and the households will use mobile technology to order and access the fresh produce from the farmers.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Right. What inspired you in terms of, did you read something about this problem, or did you have some experience working in this area that you thought, oh, this is a great problem that I can solve?
Yeah. To be honest, I first got inspired when I attended Youth Connect Summit Africa in Kigali, in Rwanda. It was gathering over 3,000 youth from all over the world, and we have been thinking about solutions that we can bring into our countries. Of course, I had some background, being a son of a farmer myself. I saw how my father was struggling to get the market. And when I meet this Youth Connect Summit, I hear the stories of my fellow young African entrepreneurs. And the trend of many of them was like, how can we bring technology? How can we bring the market for technology? So we have been turning around about kind of solutions. And while coming here at Willy Brandt School and trying to go for a couple of conferences even here in Spain, I've been being a guest of a European Public Policy Conference in Spain, and getting to know some of the inside class we often do in about policies, comparative public policies, and many more. I thought of bringing and having a look on my Congolese settlement, economic area. I thought of bringing the same thing, the same energy into Congo. I know we still didn't have reached this high level of technology, but I think we'll meet the level where we'll need technology, and this is a step to prepare the road already.
So your main objective is the development of the mobile application, and also sort of organizing the farmer collectives. Is that right?
Exactly.
And who will be your on the ground partners?
That's a very good question. I'm thankful that you reached there. Actually, I want the youth to be involved. For over decades, people who have been involved in agriculture was the elder, over 60 years, over 50 years, but they don't have strength. And when they have strength, today is not only about working hardly, it's also about working smartly. We want to use people having studied the agriculture. They know how it should be, and they have strength, physical strength, so they have to make this mix-up. My aim is to put the youth in the full chain, from the production to distribution. And that will be about reducing the high unemployment that is actually in Congo, over 60% of unemployment. That's making many of students finishing university and not getting jobs straight after college. So I think this application is a big solution as a project, not only for connecting real farmers and cities households, but also in curbing the youth unemployment that has been prevailing for over a decade.
And in practical terms, if you are successful and you have funding from the Commitment Award, what would your first steps be towards realizing this project?
Yeah, exactly. Straight away I have the fund, I go back in my country, or if I have to coordinate with my organization, we have to start with the willingness of household to take our product. We know the inclusiveness is still not that high, and we'll make 1 month just to understand how willingly our household are to take the new product, and then straight away go to the real farmers, in the real areas, gather all the farmers and make some meetings, put them in understanding what you want to do, commit with them, create some incentives for them to work with us, because they will see the market. The project itself will create incentives. And after that, as I showed you in my program, I will have the last phase will be after I'm sure I have all the map of my partners, real farmers and households. I want to go back and take the stakeholders, the government, and all those have to play a role in the implementation phase, make them aware, and possibly claim for some tax free for like 1 to 3 months before we start. I'm so sure that this project so far it will bring is what is missing to bridge the gap between production and market and youth unemployment.
My very last question.
Yeah.
You're a first-year student, but reflecting on your time so far at the Brandt School, what's the best lesson you've learned?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've learned a lot. The best lesson I've learned, it's so funny, but it is understanding differences. That is something that Willy Brandt distinguishes itself in. And I've learned how to just understand differences and gets what is the best into everyone. So that is what I'm learning so far. Of course, there are many classes of learning policies. I cannot start making details on all the things I've been learning so far. But in having a general speech would be like, I've learned from people, and I've shared as well. And I think Willie Brown School is the place to be, where you want not only to have the theoretical view of how things are going, but how things are concretely happening in the real life world.
That's a great lesson to take away.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this segment.
Yeah.
But Jean de Dieu, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you, Maria.
It was wonderful to learn more about your project, Vijena mobile application,
Exactly.
which connects the rural farmers to urban households using mobile technology. My next guest is Kanishka Wahidi, who is here to tell us a bit about his project idea. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And if I understand correctly, you are a current PhD candidate at the University of Erfurt. Is that right?
That's right. And I'm also an alumni of Willie Brown School. I graduated in 2016.
And what is your PhD topic?
So I'm writing about poverty reduction in Afghanistan and how to reduce poverty in a development context.
And your personal background is also from Afghanistan, is that right?
Yes, so I'm an Afghan and I've lived there till 2014. And my background, education background, is in the field of economics.
Well, we can move straight on now to your wonderful project idea for the Commitment Award. Firstly, what is the name of your project?
Okay, so I've chosen an interesting name. It's called Books to Blue Bus.
Books to Blue Bus.
That's right.
And what is Books to Blue Bus? Why that name?
Okay, so I will first explain what's the Blue Bus. I came across a news from Afghanistan which was very exciting to me, and that was an initiative taken by a girl called Farishta Karim. She actually she's an educated girl, and she studied in Oxford University, and she returned back to Afghanistan and took this initiative. So what she did, she somehow found a big blue bus, and I assume it's like a public bus, an old public bus. It has a blue color, and she has put a lot of books there for children as well as for youths. And the bus tours around Kabul city several days in a week, and their aim is to promote the culture of reading, the culture of getting knowledge through reading, and also bringing people together to read books and to educate people. And I see this very interesting because in the whole Kabul there is only one public library, and that's it. So there is not that much opportunity for youths, for children, to get to read books and to interact with each other in a context of a library. So this project, I will try to promote this project, and I will try to provide more books which are especially for kids. So more kids will be able to use this benefit. For example, they could use to learn basic alphabets, drawing pictures, coloring different animals, and so on. So it's more targeted on the children aged from 10 to 18 years.
So you were inspired to create this project idea by reading about the blue bus.
That's right.
And you're going to do a similar idea, or adding on to that same initiative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the project will be to provide more books to this bus so they can reach out to more of the children. Unfortunately, they lack books which are specifically for children. So all they have like political books and also historical books, but they have like around 600 books, but actually they lack stationery for drawing and making it more children friendly, and as well as like basic introductory books for children. So this project will provide books to this bus, and they will reach out to more children.
Is literacy a problem in that region? That the bus initiative, the original initiative, had an inspiration in some underlying challenges. Do I understand correctly?
Yes, thank you for asking this question. So before coming here, I was reading about the literacy rate in Afghanistan, and probably it will be a surprise that Afghanistan has the lowest literacy rate in the whole world. So only 31% of youths are able to read and write. So only the 31% of youths are able to read and write. And if you see it for women, it's only 17% on average across the country. So because of the long-going war and conflict, the education system was heavily affected, and still because of the security issues and other challenges, thousands of schools across the country are still closed, and most of the families, either due to financial issues or other social and cultural aspects, they are not able to send their children to school. So this initiative will at least motivate and give a inspiration moment for those people, for specifically those children who have never been to school. So it's like motivating them to get back and to be in contact with pen, with pencil, with books.
So this will be implemented in Kabul?
Yes.
With the wonderful big blue bus full of books?
Yes.
And have you been in contact with the woman who started this initiative?
Yes, so I tried to reach her out. I wrote her email, and I'm in contact with her, but so far I haven't heard from her. But I'm sure she's accessible, and I also have her phone number and their website. I can show you the one photo which was from 2018.
Oh, wow. I'm looking at a photo of what looks to be almost like a giant public bus that is a bright blue color. And there are children standing outside it.
That's right.
Queuing up to go and get books inside.
Yes. And they also do recreational activities for children, like, for example, drawing, doing sports, just to get them together.
So should you be successful in receiving funding from the Commitment Award, what would your first step be towards implementing this book delivery, if you will?
Yes. So my first step will be to get together with this girl, and we will come up with a list of the books that we actually need, as well as stationery for the children. They actually have 2 buses and 6 employees, so giving their capacity, we will manage to deliver these stationery and books over 1 year time, but it will be twice, like every 6 months. And the first step will be to get the list of the books which they require, and then find these books either inside the country or from neighboring countries, and then to give this book to the children so they can start doing more sessions with the children in Kabul.
And back to a more personal level, for yourself, what is next? Do you have an anticipated time that you might finish to submit the PhD work? And do you know what you might do afterwards?
Yes, so currently I'm in the last year of my PhD. I will be hopefully done within 1 year. And after that, I want to have a career in academia, and I want to work with international NGOs at international level, and I'm open to have experience across the world.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment, but thank you so much, Kanishka, for joining me on the show.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I ran up from the middle of the class so I can appear for this interview.
Oh, that's great. It was so wonderful to learn more about Books to Blue Bus, this idea of providing kids' books to help stock this fantastic public bus book delivery service that's already in Kabul. Our last guest is Joanna Botia Diaz, who will tell us about her project. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Maria.
To begin, I'd like to ask just a bit about yourself and your personal background. What brought you to the Brent School?
Okay, well, my name is Joana Botia Diaz, as you said, and I studied economics in Colombia, and I used to work in a private multinational company, and I wanted a shift in my work lives to be able to impact other people's lives, so I found the public policy program in the DAD website and decided to join. Unfortunately, I got a scholarship for studying it.
And you're a second-year student, that's right?
Yes, I'm a second-year student. I'm currently writing my thesis on the reintegration of indigenous ex-combatants in Colombia. And I also done my internship at the National Center of Historical Memory in Colombia, within a project trying to look after reconciliation of communities and ex-combatants.
Can now talk about your project. So you've applied for the Commitment Award. And what is the name of your project this year?
Well, the name of the project is Community Garden to Ensure Food for the Children in a School of Wiwa and Kogi indigenous groups in Colombia.
Once more, Community Garden to ensure?
Yeah, Community Garden to Ensure Food for the Children in a School of Wiwa and Kogi indigenous groups in Colombia.
So this is what it sounds like. I assume it's a garden that produces edible food for the local community. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is basically this community, they have some schools and they have been developing it, but let's say they are located in a very far area to reach. So for instance, kids have to walk 4 or 6 hours in order to get to the school. So one solution that the community found is that the children stay at the school for a week instead of coming and returning back every day. So that's why it's necessary to have a community garden to provide food for the children in a school.
And what helped you to identify this area? Did you work there before? Have you visited?
Mm-hmm. Well, last February and March, I had the opportunity to do field research with indigenous ex-combatants in Colombia, in the north area of Colombia. One of them, it's part of the Wiwa community, and he told me that during this reincorporation process, he went back to his original family area, and then he found that the community was not doing pretty well. So they together started many different projects in collaboration with the community, with the ex-combatants, and they have, for instance, developed a bridge to connect the community and not have to go through the river to go, for instance, to the city, to the nearest city. They have also developed this new school, and I mean, when I was there, I asked him if I have the possibility to know more about this. That's when I got introduced to the community, and then I got the opportunity to see what everything that they were planning to do, and yeah. So that was the inspiration, technically, to see what they're planning, how they're doing it, and what do they need. When I was there, I asked them, like, what do they need in order to continue making the project bigger and bigger.
So, in fact, the idea for the garden was something that came out of conversations directly with the people there.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a project that comes from within the community. I mean, they are the ones that technically plan about it and design it. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's really great from this project because they are the ones that live there and they are the ones that know what can be done, where can it be done, because for indigenous communities that's really important, where they can, for instance, they cannot use any place to do a school. It has to be something a bit sacred for them.
And what are the current barriers to building these sorts of community gardens in the Wiwa community at the moment?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the main areas is the lack of resources to buy the tools to make the project. So first, I mean, they were trying to clean the area in order to start with the project, but they decided, okay, it would be better if we have some materials to do it. So, like, biggest challenge, it would be depending on the season of the year that they will buy the materials. The price can be different. However, as I listed the prices in the project, they were asked during the seed season, so that makes the price higher. So maybe if I get the project for then, it will be cheaper now. But also the dry season can affect the production of the community garden. However, the project also includes a good irrigation system, which can impact or diminish the impact of the dry season. Also, another challenge could be the plagues or sudden events that could affect the production. But also for this reason, the community itself, they advocated for cultivation of different products that will make, and also to make an organic fertilizer in order to use it and avoid the dependence of pesticide.
So the idea is that you would provide resources to allow the purchase of tools and other practical elements to building this sort of community garden that would sustain the school for the children.
Yeah, exactly. My experience is useful to formulate this project and, of course, to present it to the Commitment Award. A bit like a connection or a liaison between the community and the Commitment Award platform. The logistics of buying the materials and the transportation is also that I can manage. However, the most important is the experience from the community itself, because they know exactly where would be an accurate place to put the hands, the seats, everything that they plan for the schools. And also they will be willing to transport it. I mean, like what you can reach with a car or with normal transportation, then it's a part of the mountain. But then the hiking trek, it's like 6 hours, and then every material that we buy needs to be carried by person. So they also have a very long tradition of communitarian or community work. So they are really engaged in making this happen.
So should you be successful in receiving funding from the Commitment Award, what will your very first steps be towards implementing this project idea?
Well, the first, I think it would be informing the community that the project won.
That would be helpful. Yes, always good to know.
They would be really happy to know about this. And start working in the plan. I mean, the project is planned to be 6 months in total. The first, second, and third month, the idea is to start the organization of the communitarian orchard. That includes buying the first tools, not everything in a whole, but first the tools. Then it will include also the preparation of the land area by the community. And then when it's ready, then we can start also buying the seeds and providing the rest of the materials. Also, after that, or during that project, it is also necessary to develop the study plan for the school that also include the farm labor and the knowledge of traditional medicine, because one of the main objectives is also to keep on track this intergenerational and cultural training that the kids should learn, because after the war in Colombia, this was a kind of social fabric that was lost. And I think the last part during the last months of the project, it would be to monitor the community work days in order to improve the garden, for instance, plant, click, collect, etc.
Well, it sounds like you have a clear plan of action there. My very last question to you, going back to yourself, a personal question, is reflecting on your time at the Brandt School, what have you learned and what's your most valuable takeaway from the Brandt School experience?
Okay, well, this has been very valuable 2 years where I got the opportunity to travel around more than 30 countries, staying at classrooms, workshops, and social activities here in Germany, actually. The most valuable lesson is that I came here to realize how the world is full of incredible cultures and ways to approach problems. I have learned a lot from my classmates, and I also have developed a great independence during my stay in Germany.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. Thank you, Joanna, again for joining me on the show.
Thank you, Maria, for letting me share this experience.
It was wonderful to learn more about your project, Community Garden to Ensure Food for the Children, and that will be based in the Wiwa community.
And Kogi community as well.
And Kogi community. And that's actually all we have time for the entire show. So this will wrap up the last of the interviews for the Commitment Award applicants. Once again, more information about the Commitment Award is available on the Brandt School website at www.brandtschool.de/commitment-award. You can find out more about our show on the Bulletin blog page at thebulletin.brandtschool.de. That's the Bulletin, BULLETIN.brandtschool.de. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future shows, feel free to contact us via the blog. Until next time, work hard and change the world.